started, folks. Thank you.
Do you want everyone to stand up here from cabinet, or what do you think?
Yeah, that'd be
speakers? Okay.
kind of like behind us.
Do you want everyone from cabinet up here, like Brianna and Jose and everyone?
Yeah, background. Yeah. Where's Chief? Anybody? Anyone else? Okay. Morning. Good morning. Buenos dias. It is a beautiful day here in Mission Hill. I'm Marta Rivera. I'm the Commissioner of the Boston Centers for Youth and Families. Welcome to the Tobin Community Center, one of our community centers, one of our facilities. Boston Centers for Youth and Families, BCYF. We operate 35 facilities across the city, pools, community centers, senior centers, and again, it's our honor to host this morning's press conference. I want to thank John Jackson, our Tobin Community Center Director, for hosting us, and his team. Before I introduce our mayor, just if you'll indulge me and just allow me just a quick story about the mayor. So a couple of weeks ago, we were in her office, and we were receiving contribution from a donor, and the donor made, a comment about, the company's, honor and privilege to invest in summer jobs, and how it keeps kids and teens and youth off the streets and from stirring trouble, something to that effect. And the mayor, in a way that only she could, used that as a teachable moment, and she says, the summer jobs and youth employment is really about teaching our youth, or preparing them, training them, and creating environments where they can thrive. And I'm paraphrasing, but essentially it was that asset-based approach versus seeing our young people as deficits. Right? They're contributors in our community. And at that moment, I could not be prouder to work for this administration in this role as Commissioner of BCYF and as part of Mayor Wu's leadership. So without further ado, our Mayor Michelle Wu.
Can you give one more round of applause to Commissioner Marta Rivera for the incredible work that she and her team do every single day? Thank you to Commish and to our Chief of Human Services, Chief Jose Masso, Coach Jackson, and the entire team here at the Tobin for the generations that you have helped raise in the city and who are in roles leading our city, making important decisions, sitting at tables in boardrooms and in City Hall and in operating rooms and everywhere that we need talent, because you gave them a home away from home and helped nurture all the possibilities in the future ahead of them. We have as you see, we have a large team to thank here today for the incredible work that we'll share a little bit about leading into summer in Boston. But as the Commissioner referenced, in some ways we are shifting our approach. This is a press conference that the city has done for many, many years, usually right before or around Memorial Day, as a way to say we are prepared and we're headed into the summer season thinking about safety. Now, over the last 3 years, we've actually shifted that approach. Safety isn't something that we all of a sudden turn on and start talking about and thinking about as the weather gets hotter. For us and for our administration, community safety is a year-round collaborative effort and opportunity. It's having everyone at the table every single week, every single quarter, to talk about each of our roles, not just in City Hall, but in the district attorney's office, in every level of government, but also, more importantly, out in the community. And you'll hear a little bit from Commissioner Cox, from Dr. Isaac Yablo, who's our Senior Advisor for Community Safety, on the year-round effort that has gone into making sure that Boston has every opportunity available. And as the Commissioner said as well, we're shifting away from an approach that says the only way for safety is to keep people away from certain places in the city or away from certain people or from being around each other. our approach is we want everyone to come together. We want our young people in every part of the city having fun, being in those offices, being in the places where we are creating opportunity. And I think it is no coincidence that all the efforts we're doing, the most collaborative effort that the city has ever seen around creating opportunity for families, multi-generational families, has also led to this moment where we have more people involved than ever before, working together for community safety, and the distinction nationally of being one of the safest major cities in the country, the safest major city in the country. It takes a lot of effort and collaboration to do that. And so just some of the folks who are here and who have been working on this: Dr. Isaac Yablo, Commissioner Michael Cox, Chief of Human Services Jose Masso, and Commissioner Marta Rivera, Chief of Community Engagement Brianna Malor, Chief of Worker Empowerment Trin Nguyen, Administrator of the Boston Housing Authority Kenzie Bach, Chief of BHA Public Safety Shumeen Benford, Executive Director for the Office of Youth Engagement and Advancement Pedro Cruz, Executive Director for the Office of Youth Employment and Opportunity Allison Verneret, our Policy Advisor Ajay Singh, and many, many, many more across all of our departments in City Hall. We're also joined here today by City Councilor Henry Santana. Thank you for your leadership. I'm checking for other city councilors. Okay. And our very new, well, how many weeks now, Vandro? 2 weeks new, Director of the Office of Police Accountability and Transparency, Evandro Carvalho. Welcome to the team. Thank you for your leadership. I see our Fire Commissioner, Paul Burke, as well. And let me see who else and of course, our Roxbury Neighborhood Liaison, Asha. Thank you so much, Asha Janae, for all that you do in the community. You'll also hear shortly from two of our most important partners in community, representing a bit of the coalition that we work alongside. Mercy Robinson of South Boston en Acción, a force of nature, as someone who is working every day to bridge the gap between our public housing communities and the opportunities that exist in our city. And Mike Kozu, who is a champion for everything Grove Hall, and who at Project Right has been working alongside our young people and families to make the city not just safer, but brighter and more welcoming for everyone. We're so excited to have both of you here and as partners in the work. Our administration's goal is to make Boston a home for everyone, a home for every family, every generation, across every neighborhood. And I mean that in every sense of the word. A house doesn't become a home until it is safe, until it is welcoming, until all your needs are met. And the same thing is true for a city. Making our city safe requires all of us working together to meet the unique needs of each street and each block and every neighborhood. That's why this year, in addition to the year-round community safety planning, we conducted the most rigorous community engagement process to plan for the special nuances of summer in Boston's history. We held more than 25 meetings from Roxbury to Mattapan, Hyde Park, and South Boston, inviting residents to come share insights and experiences. And people came out. Because safety isn't something that we can just write a plan for or put some words on a piece of paper. It has to be built together from the ground up. And we're here today because Boston's teachers and coaches, parents and faith leaders, young people and neighbors are helping build it. That is why Boston is the safest big city in America. Not just because our communities love our city and are working to make it feel like home for everyone, but because we are all willing to turn out, speak up, and work together to make that vision a reality. So I want to thank all of our city team members who work in and with our communities every day to co-author a more peaceful narrative for our city. And I want to thank all of our residents. This summer plan is directly from the insights that reflect all of our communities. And as you'll hear from Dr. Yablo in a moment, it is a special one. It's practical and compassionate, sustainable and specific, trauma-informed and healing-focused. It's not a Band-Aid. It focuses on root causes, not symptoms. And while it is a summer safety plan, it is a foundation, it serves as a foundation that goes along our year-round plan. So it will be the springboard for a safer fall, winter, and spring for years to come. Thank you all so much for helping make our city home. And before I turn it over to Senior Advisor for Community Safety, Isaac Yablo, to share more details about this plan, otra vez en español. El objetivo de nuestra administración es hacer de Boston un hogar para todos. Un hogar para todas las familias, todas las generaciones, en todos los barrios y en todos los sentidos de la palabra. Una casa no se convierte en un hogar hasta que es segura. Lo mismo es cierto para una ciudad. Y hacer que nuestra ciudad sea segura para todos requiere que todos trabajemos juntos para satisfacer las necesidades específicas de cada calle en cada barrio. Por eso, este año hemos llevado a cabo el proceso de participación comunitaria más riguroso para un plan de seguridad de verano en la historia de Boston. Tuvimos más de 25 reuniones desde Roxbury, Mattapan, hasta Hyde Park y South Boston, invitándoles a todos a venir y compartir con nosotros sus opiniones y experiencias. Y así fue, porque la seguridad no es algo que se pueda imponer, hay que construirla juntos. Y hoy estamos aquí porque los profesores y maestros de Boston, los padres y los líderes religiosos, los jóvenes y los vecinos nos están ayudando a construirla. Es por eso que Boston es la ciudad más segura de Estados Unidos. No solo porque nuestras comunidades aman nuestra ciudad y quieren que se sienta como en casa, sino porque estamos dispuestos a dar la cara y a trabajar juntos para hacer realidad esa visión. Así que quiero dar las gracias a todos los miembros de nuestro equipo, todos los departamentos de la ciudad y que el personal que trabajaban con nuestras comunidades todos los días. Y quiero dar las gracias a todos nuestros residentes. Este es su plan de seguridad para el verano. Y como nuestro director de seguridad comunitario les dirá dentro de un momento, es extraordinario, es práctico y compasivo, sostenible y específico, informado sobre el trauma y centrado en la curación. Se centra en las causas profundas, no en los síntomas. Y aunque es nuestro plan de seguridad de verano, servirá de base para un otoño, un invierno y una primavera más seguros en los años que vienen. Muchas gracias a todos por ayudarnos a hacer de nuestra ciudad nuestro hogar. Okay, and I'll hand it over to, where's Isaac? To Isaac, who will be followed by Commissioner Cox, Mercy, and Mike.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone, this early morning. My name is Isaac Yablo, and I proudly serve the city as the Senior Advisor for Community Safety. I want to, before I get into the meat and potatoes, if you will, of this plan, I want to thank many of the members of the community that helped to build this plan. As the mayor mentioned, 27 meetings across 9 neighborhoods, as well as a number of different individual conversations with residents. And all of that is, this plan is the culmination of all of that. I also want to thank the many community partners that we have in the room, from the Alice Taylor Advisory Council to Boston Project Ministries, to my partners at Youth Connect, to my YOU team, to the Cape Verdean Association of Boston, Building Brothers, everyone that is doing this amazing on-the-ground work in collaboration with the community safety team. Very, very appreciative. So today we're here to talk about the summer, but as the mayor mentioned, violence prevention planning to end violence is a year-round strategy for the mayor's office. Throughout the engagements, the 27 engagements that we had, a constant theme came up across each individual meeting. What are you all doing to address root causes of the violence? It's great to have a plan. It's great to be able to respond to violence, but how are you getting ahead of the violence? Valid questions, which is why for the past 18 months or so, the mayor's office, in tandem with the Boston Public Health Commission's Division of Violence Prevention, whom we're joined by members of that team today, we've been working in tandem to build a plan and a strategy that's focused on ending violence. We believe in Boston we can end violence, but it takes an effort in addressing those root causes of the violence. Concurrently, we also have to plan for summer-specific nuances that present, which is why we have this plan for a safe, healthy, and active summer here. So broadly, this plan, to get into it, six sections. right? So the first section is the overarching goals that we set as a city. We like to set goals that guide all of the work that we're doing, this collaborative work. So the first goal, scaling up community and youth programming, activities and employment opportunities for persons residing in communities impacted by violence. The second goal, ensure neighborhoods are supported and connected to resources to help them respond to and recover from incidents of community violence. The third goal, strengthen intervention and recovery efforts that are relevant to and accessible by the most at-promise populations within the city. And special shout out to my partners at Youth Connect, my partners at VIAP, VRP, Brigham and Women's that do an amazing job up that now. Fourth goal, increase positive police presence, community engagement efforts, and informal social control mechanisms in hotspot opportunity zones during peak times of violence. Fifth goal, reinvest into communities and community members across the city with the focus on those disproportionately impacted by acts of community violence. And then the last goal, and this rings true to the work that we were doing, if you remember last summer when we talked about rolling out the city's gun violence intervention strategy. The sixth goal, ensure that the city's gun violence intervention strategy is active and supported by both providers and members of the community. So that's the first section, which is these overarching goals that we set. Then we get into the specific resources, initiatives, and programs that are relevant to the summer. So in true form, taking a public health approach to the work that we are doing, we've categorized the resources based on 3 levels of prevention. So primary prevention, commonly just referred to as prevention, secondary prevention, commonly referred to as intervention, and tertiary prevention, commonly referred to as recovery. So primary prevention, creating conditions for peace. That's all the amazing work that the Human Services Cabinet's doing. That's all the amazing work that Parks is doing. Libraries, schools, the Equity Cabinet, the Health Commission, all of the amazing work that prevents violence from even occurring in the first place. So that would be that primary prevention. Intervention, addressing what leads to harm. Those are the resources that we have available to intervene immediately before or after violence occurs. Special shout out to the YLU team that does an amazing job. We also have our internal homegrown programs, Operation Exit and Grassroots, and special shout out to my guy Niles, who's the inaugural graduate of that program. But intervention programming, addressing immediately before and after what leads to violence. Recovery, healing after violence. That would be anchored by our newly revamped Community Healing and Response Network, and I'm joined by my colleague Donald Osgood, who oversees that effort, as well as our Safe and Successful Youth Initiative, the Men's Health Initiative, and then under the leadership of Dr. Kevin Simon, under the Health Commission, the mental health resources that we have available via the Health Commission. One of the main things that I have been pushing the administration to think about is having a plan to end violence, but also reinvest into the communities that are disproportionately impacted by this violence. So this summer, as of right now, we have right around 15 active grants that are all aimed at reinvesting into these communities, arts-focused grants. I have a summer activation mini grant that we'll be announcing awardees in the very next few days, and then as well as a number of other grants under the Community Engagement Cabinet, Arts and Culture, et cetera, et cetera. Then we get into heightened community concerns during the summer months, fireworks and fire safety, off-road vehicles, problem properties, after-hours parties, and then community gun violence. And I want to talk about community gun violence for a second. As I mentioned, last year at this exact meeting, we talked about how we were in the beginning stages of rolling out the city's new gun violence intervention strategy. As we can see, based on the data, it's working. So mainly anchored by our gun violence reduction management team. We have members of that team that are here today. We meet on a weekly basis with the goal of stopping shootings in Boston. We are working to execute 4 key strategies that make up our gun violence intervention strategy for the summer. So first, engaging high-risk individuals with high-quality services and supports. The Safe and Successful Youth Initiative, Youth Connect, YLU Boston, all of these programs that are on the front lines working with these populations and offering them high-quality services as a way to deter the violence from occurring. Weekly and bi-weekly incident review meetings. We do an amazing job of sharing information in this city, but we can do a better job. So establishing formal protocols that allow us to share this information across departments, across collaborative sectors, is something that we're going to be rolling out in the very next few weeks. increasing positive police presence, and then focusing on environmental crime prevention in the micro places where crime occurs. I'm working with the Boston Police Department and members of our new planning team to hone in on the micro locations where a disproportionate amount of violence occurs. Oftentimes we frame violence in neighborhoods as impacting the entire neighborhood, and while we understand that trauma does impact the entire neighborhood, the concentration of violence is very, very specific. And to right around 150 micro locations, we're honing in on 15 broad categories this summer. Not categories, but areas across the city this summer where we know violence has been prevalent. And then lastly, to couple and strengthen the work that we're going to be doing in the community, establishing place-based partnership meetings with the goal of collaborating with community to reduce firearm violence. Last summer, we had an amazing plan and we did a lot of things right, but there were some gaps. And one of the things that I have been working intensely on with one of my colleagues, who I believe is behind me or in the crowd somewhere, Pedro Cruz, who oversees the Office of Youth Engagement and Advancement, is looking to fill the gaps for young people during those critical hours immediately after Success Link work hours end, right? So that 3 to 10 p.m. gap. And then understanding that focusing on mental health related complications is something that we should all be prioritizing, especially among young people. Pedro has done an amazing job with Lindsay and other members of his team to build out 3 specific strategies that are relevant for the summer and young people. So as I mentioned, last summer we saw a significant increase of juvenile-related activity after work hours. So to combat that, Pedro has come up with this concept of Boston After Dark. So every Friday between 6 and 9 p.m. from June 21st to August 30th, there's going to be youth-focused events that are catered for youth, created by youth, and prioritizing youth all across the city. And Pedro's going to be collaborating with a number of community partners to make sure that happens. And then in years past, we've seen the weeks in between school ending and summer starting, and then summer ending and school starting, there being gaps where there's a lapse of programming. To combat that, Pedro's come up with this concept of Fill the Gap, which between June 22nd and July 7th, and then August 17th to 31st, we're going to have programming available for our young people. And then again, as I mentioned, the youth mental health related resources, they're bringing back the Youth Line Resource Connection, among other things. What I just said about Pedro is just an embodiment of really all of the collaboration that's happening across the city. That's just one example. I mean, with the Boston Police Department, my colleagues, myself, Dan, in the mayor's office, we've been working with Deputy Harris to come up with this Reveler strategy that you'll probably hear from the police commissioner. BHA working collaboratively with Molly and Michael and Kenzie and Shu to make sure that we're activating the housing developments this summer in a very safe way. YEO, Youth Employment and Opportunity, doing an amazing job of eliminating barriers to make sure that at-promise young people in the city can secure employment. The Community Engagement Cabinet, those are the people we probably collaborate with the most, just sharing information, making sure that folks on the ground are available and aware of what we have to offer. Workers Empowerment, my collaboration with the YOU team to make sure that at-promise young kids are employed this summer again. And then last but not least, Boston Public Schools. People think that they're not working during the summer, but they are. They're working hard. Leroy Peoples, Nicole Robbins, entire Division of Intensive Student Support. With that, I encourage you all to go to the City of Boston's website, boston.gov. We have the entirety of the plan available in PDF form and the breakdown of all of the resources that I just mentioned to you. And last thing before I turn the mic over to the commissioner, if I had to use one word to describe this plan, I would have to be collaborative. We have 25 individual departments represented in this plan, the most collaborative plan in history that involves supporting people in the community, like all of the partners that I just mentioned, involves supporting community events like the Amazing Score for More tournament that happens every year. Shout out to you, good brother. And, you know, just the work. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Commish. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Along with Senior Advisor Yablo just said, the police department specifically almost always uses a strategy that involves data and intelligence-led information to address crime, crime, and partnering with all parts of our community, similar to what was already mentioned, to make sure that we are in the right place at the right time to help prevent these things, and also to make sure that we build trust with the community, because community policing is what we do. That being said, we are, statistically speaking, our homicides so far this year are down about 82% from historic lows we had last year. Shooting incidents are down 44% from last year as of today. I talked a little bit about being data and intelligence driven, and we aim to partner with as many people as possible to make sure that we continue to reduce crime and better our ability to address crime and fear crime in our neighborhoods. We focus year-round on a small number of individuals that drive the crime. We found over time that these individuals repeatedly offend over and over again, and if we focus on those individuals, we are focusing on the right people that drive the violence in our city. While we're doing this work with partners like the Mayor's Violence Reduction Team to address the needs of individuals who may be vulnerable in participating in crime or becoming victims of it, other partners we work with closely help support us on a daily basis. It was mentioned earlier, both Youth Connect and certainly the best clinicians that work with our officers on a daily basis, typically, helping us deal with the struggles of mental health in the city that we come across. They're embedded with our officers, and they work in some of the major sections of the city quite often. To accomplish this, building more trust with the city and more importantly with the community, and make sure that we're focused on the right people and actually doing all we can to prevent crime, we have added a new tool to our tool belt, with this Community CommStats, which basically we're going around the neighborhoods, and we've been to quite a few now, and we've been doing it for almost a year, where we engage folks in particular neighborhoods and actually go through the process of taking them through the strategic thought process we do when addressing crime in each neighborhood, so we can send our resources there. So we review data within the neighborhood, we review data within the city, we review data within the country, so people have a good idea of where we are, where they are as far as crime is concerned. And then, more importantly, we prioritize our resources in those communities to basically make sure that we are focused on the things in that neighborhood, or the priorities of the individuals in that neighborhood, as opposed to the priorities that the police department just has. Building trust is key to community policing, and we found that this particular technique is really the building block of building a lot more trust within our community and helping us all stay safe. A quick look at a few summers from statistics standpoint. In the summertime, it's a little different than other points of time in the year, because we have a lot of people in our city visiting. The daylight hours are a lot longer. There's a lot of students that are not in school. The weather is usually pretty warm and nice. And then, more importantly, because people get to come together in large spaces and cookouts and things of that nature, that sometimes conflict could actually appear as a result of some of that. And so that's what makes summer a little bit different for us. And so we make sure we try to deploy in areas that we think are concerned, or more importantly, be visible in areas to make sure that we are helping prevent crime, that we engage the public, and that we certainly address the issues of the day. Last year, between June and August, we had 52 victims shot in 42 incidents. That was down 24% compared to 2022, and was 35% below our 5-year average. About 60% of those incidents happened between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m., with a good percentage of those happening on the weekends and on Sundays. And so, that being said, it's really important that as we go into the summer, we ask the public, if you see parties in your neighborhood, particularly late at night, that you dial 911 and let us know about it, so we can help address any issues that may occur beforehand. And so, in addition to that, we also have to make sure that we cover all the special events and happenings throughout the city in the summer months. It's a really beautiful time of the year here in the city, but there's also many, many events that go on. We're also organizing activities and programs for young people in our community, from teen police academies to peace walks within our faith-based communities all throughout the city. And of course, connecting youth with summer jobs and camps and summer opportunities both within the city and other places. To address quality of life and other safety concerns, we have 4 main goals this summer: to prevent violence and retaliation that can come from that, to get as many illegal as many illegal guns off the street as possible, and then always to increase our interactions, positive interactions with the public, and build as much trust as we can, and engage more youth in programming activities and connect them to needed services if need be. In our districts throughout the city, we have CSO programs that we ask, if you want to hear more about them, you go to our website, bpdnews.com, and actually go to your local district, and they can tell you a lot more about your local district station's opportunities for both youth and elderly. We have Junior Police Academy, we have annual fishing derbies, we have Coffee with a Cops all summer, flashlight walks, Walk the Beat, National Night Out, weekly peace walks, and then at the end of the summer we will have our Faith in Blue event to end the summer. And so again, we ask you to go to bpdnews.com/districts if you want to hear more about the offerings in each district or the district near you. There are a few other quality of life issues that certainly happen in the summer months that doesn't happen as much during the regular year. And then first of it is revelers. We call them revelers. And this referred to as off-road vehicles where people drag race, or they have very loud speakers and other things that might impact the quality of life in the city. I think we made reference to it a couple of weeks ago when some of them came into the city. We will be working with our auto theft unit, who will work with districts and our other partners, both law enforcement and other community partners in general, to make sure that we address the issues that they can create, particularly around quality of life. This is one of the primary complaints we do receive, and we hear you, and we're making sure we do something about that. I say this, for folks, and a lot of them tend to not be from the city, do not come to Boston this summer to engage in this activity, because we will seize your vehicles and equipment and other things to make sure that the quality of life in our city stays outstanding. And so this is not the place to be for that. About approximately 10 to 15% of the recovered dirt bikes and ATVs are reported stolen in these groups that come into the city, mostly from commercial and residential break-ins in suburban areas. All the operators, when we do catch them, are usually cited and criminally charged, and we will submit their information to the Registry of Motor Vehicles. In 2023, stats regarding some of these incidents that happened, we had 150 vehicles that were seized by our Auto Theft Task Force alone, and 402 citations were served. The next issue we might want to address coming this summer, and we will actually follow up a little bit more about this in the next coming days and weeks, are about mopeds. We have a working group with the city and other city agencies collaborating to address the issues throughout the city. We want to work on a campaign to clarify and remind drivers of what's required with mopeds, the city ordinance that revolve around that, and more importantly, all the city laws that pertain to them. We want to make sure that the drivers of the mopeds are wearing their helmets, are driving in accordance with all the traffic rules and regulations, not riding on sidewalks and going down one-way streets. And we're going to do more to make sure that we enforce or make sure educate the folks that come into town with mopeds on the rules of the road. Now, we're not trying to discourage any people that I know they make income from delivering pizzas and things of that nature. This is not to discourage them from that. We just want them to be good citizens here and actually follow our rules of the road and make sure people are aware of those. And so how can residents help us in what we're asking for this summer is that you can dial 911 and tell us about what's going on in your area, whether you see revelers with loud music and cars and drag races and things of that sort, to call us, loud parties that might be going on in your neighborhood, and more importantly, if you see some of the scooters that I just made mention not operating in a safe way in your community. Please let us know, again, by dialing 911, and we would appreciate that. And if you'd like to actually give us tips anonymously and you don't want to give your name, you can also contact us through Crime Stoppers. And that is, I'm sorry, Crime Stoppers information for that is 1-800-494-TIPS. Or you can also actually submit videos and pictures as well with the new online submittal through Crime Stoppers. Again, on our website, you can get the information on how to do that. So we wish everyone a very happy summer coming up this year. A lot of events going on as always, and we were here to serve and engage you. And so thank you very much. And who's up next, man? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner. And now we're going to turn it over to the amazing members of the community that were here to speak with us. So I'll go to Mercy.
Hello, everybody. Such a beautiful day. First, I want to thank everyone here today and the City of Boston for putting our community's health and well-being on the front burner. My name is Mercy Robinson. I am the South Boston's en Acción's Executive Director and a Commissioner on the Metropolitan Beaches Commission. Over the past couple of years, mainly because of COVID-19, many inequities our communities have endured for decades have been front-page news, and the City of Boston took note and made moves. Because of grants like the Summer Activation, Community Enhancement, and Block Party Grant, organizations like ours can really work on community restoration, to lay down the building blocks for our residents to build trust, respect, and love for one another. Ultimately, setting a chain reaction that would not just impact our communities, but our neighborhoods and the city at large. It is incredible how a simple community barbecue can heal. Imagine sitting and laughing with your neighbor, who you lived next to for decades, but didn't even know their name, to find out that both your kids go to the same school. That you guys could have been carpooling this whole entire time, especially on those days where it's the most difficult because you were a single mom. Imagine seeing all the children gather around screens and playing some good old-fashioned yard games that develop cognitive and social skills. Passing by a group of individuals who just love to critique pretty much everything from the food to the music to the decor. Back then, we used to call these the barrios chismosas, the neighborhood gossipers. But it makes me happy to be able to use that reference again. What truly melts my heart is seeing dads and other male members of our community huddle around the food station on their third stop, or on the court, trying to outball the youngsters when they know they have no business being on that court. To be able to share with all these families, all these free public activities and events that they can partake during the summer, thanks to other organizations like Save the Harbor, Save the Bay, Boston Harbor Now, Volo, and many, many more. Having other organizations tabling at everybody else's events, informing the residents of every possible outlet that is available to them for them to build and grow upon. The equity and community revitalization, sorry, I'm a little nervous. That is building trust, respect, and love, minimizing insecurity, envy, hate, and violence. And it all just started with one block party. This year, we will expand on that success by continuing the work with the communities from the West Broadway Developments, West Broadway Homes, Mariella McCormick Development, and the Ann Lynch Homes at Old Colony, to bring out as many of our residents and families to our green and blue spaces. Hosting events alongside our collaborators, like the Treat Yourself Festival, we will bring a day of holistic and conventional healing, taking trips to harbor islands and cruises on the harbor, bringing families to Moakley Park to enjoy evenings with music, food, and games, specifically catered to our youth. Not in confined spaces with cold walls and the smell of paper where they feel like they are our clients, but on stoops and lawn chairs, where they set the tone, where they are family and friends. to pay attention to what is that they require and build out a year of programming based on those needs, addressing what is important to get them to the next step on their journey. This is how we rebuild communities so they thrive, by putting them first. But the very first step in ensuring that everyone feels safe, grounded, and supported is the utmost importance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Wu, for convening this team to address summer safety and having discussions on how to improve our work. The mayor has directed resources to go to areas that have gone without. Working with the leadership of Commissioner Rivera, we are making significant progress in the design for a Grove Hall Community Center that will fully engage young people, their families, and our age-strong population in intergenerational activities and provide opportunities and resources. This center will be ready within 3 years and provide opportunities that have been missing, but we're just not waiting. There's hard work going on throughout the city. We want to thank Isaac Gablo and his community safety team and all task force participants for convening 3 sessions of discussions throughout all of Boston's neighborhoods to engage young people, residents, community public agencies, faith-based institutions, schools, law enforcement on developing the summer safety plan. There are many who are working together. There are a number of existing partnerships and collaborations through Boston neighborhoods, the VIP program, the Community Healing Response Neighborhood, the Shannon Grants. There are so many different things that are going on, but we also need new participants and your ideas and energy to take action. There are many people and groups who outreach, build intentional relations with young people, guide, support, and interact with young people so they can help shape what the plans are and the priorities for what are and where the resources should go. We are looking at issues and developing plans of actions. We want to identify resources to direct young people to, including meaningful jobs, training opportunities, community service, and educational support. We want to follow through to see what is working, what needs adjusting, and how we can improve our communication and working together. We want to identify what else can be done. Can we bring back initiatives like Operation Homefront, where our faith-based community works with schools and law enforcement to redirect the energy of our students? Can we look at the accomplishments of the Lilla Frederick Pilot Middle School that provided so many opportunities for students and learn from that as we move forward? And we thank the commissioner and police for providing support to our prevention activities and for taking guns off the streets. My challenge and my request, Mayor Wu and her team have started this partnership process, this call to action, but now we need you. We need our young people, our students, and those who are disconnected to step up and be part of the process. For you who have participated so far, we thank you and stay involved. For those of you who want to be involved, join your neighborhood groups, agencies, faith-based institutions, reach out to your elected officials or City Hall. There's more than enough work for all. We need all of you to make the summer plan work and connecting young people with opportunities and resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercy, and thank you, Mike. Last but not least, I want to bring up, in spirit of talking about people that at one point have been a part of the problem and have caused harm in community, I want to bring someone to offer some testimony. This is an individual that, as I mentioned, graduated from our inaugural cohort, grassroots cohort, which is a 5-week intensive program that aims to connect individuals 18 to 24 years old to meaningful employment. I'm going to bring him up and have him speak to the work that he's doing and then speak to the work that we're doing as a city to help individuals like him. So, please.
Thank you, of course.
Make sure you speak right to the mic.
For those that know me, those that don't, my name is Nas. Born and raised Dorchester kid. For, like Isaac said, for a long time, something I'm not proud of, for a long time, I played my hand in a lot of the negativity that wreaks havoc throughout this whole city that we see still to this day. But now, at 24 years old, I have a daughter, I have a son on the way. For me, it's it's bigger than me now. It's no longer about this neighborhood, that neighborhood, this team, this logo. It's about my kids, you know? Like, I want them to be able to experience different things that I didn't have the liberty to experience. And Isaac and different people from the mayor's office that are coming together and putting together these services that are now helping these communities, it's a step in the right direction. Why? Because my whole teenage life, I've ran into a lot of people that said, you know, we're here, we're gonna help, we're gonna change this, we're gonna do this in the community, we're gonna put this in place for you guys, and everything falls through. It's false promise after false promise after false promise. Isaac and the community violence prevention team,
Sure.
he's the first person, like, and I say this every time when I speak on Isaac. First time I met Isaac, Isaac came up to me, he said, I know you, but you don't know me, and that's not something good. And I said, you know, at first, at 15, 16, 17, somebody saying that to a kid in the streets, that's the most glorious thing to hear. Somebody knows your name, you're somebody. You're no longer just the kid from the inner city. You're no longer just the kid that nobody looks to. You're known now. And he kind of stopped me and said, you know, right now I just started, I don't have nothing, but as soon as I get something, I promise you I'm gonna help you. And he stuck to it. He has me here speaking to you guys. And a year ago, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I probably would have never seen myself in these settings, these environments. And thank you, Isaac, for exposing me to something new and allowing me to show my kids that there's a possibility bigger than just another kid from Dorchester. Thank you so much. Thank you.
With that, I'll kick it back to Mayor Wu.
Just wanted to make sure Councilor Santana got to say hello.
I don't know how I'll follow that. Good morning, everyone. My name is Henry Santana. I'm proud and honored to be your Boston City Councilor at large. I just want to come up here and say and reinforce the mission, the summer safety plan put forward by Mayor Wu and Isaac Diablo and the rest of the administration. I think it's a holistic one. It's one that is very proactive, and it's one that's backed up by investments. I think I also want to highlight, and I think with the words with Isaac, right? Loving adults also play a role in this. And I know we have many loving adults right here in the crowd, and I want to highlight two personal giants for me as someone who grew up in this neighborhood, who graduated from the Tobin School, who attended the Tobin Community Center as a child. Matilda Drayton right here, and John Jackson were two giants in my life. Two giants in my life who played major roles, and I think we can't underscore the impact of loving adults, the sacrifices that they make, and because of you two and the sacrifices that you made, I'm now standing right now as your Boston City Councilor at large. So with that, thank you, Mayor Wu, and thank you to the administration for this holistic and proactive summer plan. Thank you.
Okay, you heard it all. I think Naz said it best, that our goal is for every kid from Boston to know that they are seen, that they are loved and treasured, and that they will have every door that could possibly be open for them open. We want every family to feel rooted in our city, connected at home, and it's because who benefits when that happens? Not just those young people and those families, but all of us benefit when that happens in our city. So I want to thank our community members. I want to thank this incredible team within the city, but also within each of our community organizations for coming together to make this happen. And as Isaac noted, we are a team that wants to continually improve and do better. We know that there have been many promises made in the past and many ideas that get put out or a special announcement that's made. And what matters is the follow-up. What matters is making sure that it happens, it's real. And so even from last summer to this summer, from 2 summers ago to last summer, we have been working to make even more improvements. This summer, in addition to everything that we talked about here today, we also uncapped the paid youth summer jobs program. Thank you to Allison and the team. There's now a guarantee that if you're a BPS student, you want a summer job and you're old enough, then you will have one. We will guarantee that we will make it happen. We also have more grants for community activation available than ever before. And so we're just going to keep growing, keep building, and doing this so that Boston can truly be a home for everyone. Thanks for coming. Any questions from media? Yours are good? Good. Nikki?
So obviously, I think Commissioner Cox mentioned that drag racing and ATVs are a particular concern in the summer. Is there anything new that the city is doing, either prevention strategies or like intervention protocol-wise to address the problem?
Yeah, so, well, right now we're telling people not to come and do that, right? It's illegal. And no, but we're working with multiple partners, and we're going to, maybe talk a little bit more about the moped portion of it a little later. Just make sure people understand the laws related to that. But I would say this: we just did an event just last night and took several cars and speakers associated with it. I mean, it is an incredible nuisance to the people who live in communities when they can't sleep, and most of the people that do that don't live in the city of Boston. And so we just want to, discourage folks that want to come to the city and let them know that we have a plan in place and that we will actually do something about this, particularly this summer. We did something about it last summer, but we are getting more people involved because the issue is not really going away. And so, we don't want folks to come into the city. This is not the regular place to be, and they will find out if they come. So, all right. Yeah.
For the parties, do you know the criteria of what a party may have to escalate to for somebody to, reach out to police for?
So, we don't want to discourage people from having, parties at their home, but the fact is that, after-hour parties tend to not end well. They just don't. They have a history of not ending well. And certainly parties where there's, sale of alcohol and things of that nature, they tend to not do well either, right? And that's not even usually legal. And so we just want to, make sure that folks, if they're entertaining, they do it, responsibly and, during reasonable hours so that they don't disrupt the neighborhoods, right? We live in a community together. When you start disrupting, your neighbors and things of that nature, then that's not a good thing. So, people would know when they see something that they think is out of hand or things of that nature, and they'll let us know around that. But I'm not going to put a criteria on it in advance. All right.
I don't know if you touched on this, but can you elaborate a little on the city's plans to address the heat this summer and seem to be a prevention that will splash?
Well, Shu has now left his other role officially, but I will speak a little bit on behalf of the departments. And maybe if Chief Masso or Commissioner Rivera also wants to add something. I just returned. This is my first event after coming back, still a little bit jet lagged. And what we talked about with leaders from around the world is that one of the primary ways that climate change shows up, in addition to flooding, is heat. We heard from communities from all different continents about how dangerous that has become in the summer months or throughout all times of the year, where places that used to be habitable are no longer inhabitable. Food systems that depend on that are now no longer producing the same kinds of food. And in Boston, that shows up with hotter and hotter summers. We all have felt it. The winters have been milder. The summers have been hotter. It starts a lot earlier in the year. We've done little things like in the Parks Department move up by several weeks at this point when the water features get turned on. They used to not go on until June, and now they are already approaching the time. Even later today, we will be getting to the temperature where that will be needed. The city has plans also, whenever there is a heat emergency called, cooling centers will be open, but the hope is that residents will be prepared and even when it doesn't reach the threshold of an extreme heat emergency, that more and more of our parks are being built with water features in there. We will have more pools online this summer than in a very, very long time because of the hard work that the Human Services Cabinet and BCYF have been doing with our Public Facilities Department, because there had been decades of underinvestment or not fixing the challenges with maintenance of our pool facilities, and those are now coming back online. Chief, do you want to say anything more about the details of which pools and where, if you happen to, you know?
Yeah. I'd like to introduce and bring up Commissioner Rivera as well. Do you want to speak on this?
Sure, thank you. So as we have in previous years, the city identifies cooling centers. There's over a dozen BCY facilities that will serve as cooling centers. The city has expanded that to include other facilities, not just BCYF. We have the cooling centers, folks can come in our facility, sit in, and again, under some AC, get some water. But we've also expanded that to outdoors. We're working with the Mayor's Office of New Urban Mechanics and the Environment to include misting tents at all our facilities, and including this space here. We've made an investment that in the coming, by this summer, we'll have like these semi-permanent to permanent structures attached to several of our facilities, including the Tobin here. The space right over there will, in addition to the shade, will have misting. So we're looking at a variety of things, but certainly will continue to be those cooling centers and adding misting tents. And we're also bringing online more pools than last summer, and we're when there's heat emergencies, our outdoor pools, we increase capacity. So we look at a variety of things.
You done, Nikki? Okay, thanks everyone. Thank you for coming.